All right, folks, this is going to be our send-off video. I've got here 20 vintage comic books. They're all going to go vintage tier to CGC. This is probably the one I have my hopes set the highest on, which is a copy of Batman number 55. This one should be in pretty nice shape. So it does have a corner crease. There's a little itty-bitty tear right in here, and there's a little bit of damage to the back, but I'm hoping that this one's going to come in relatively high grade. I paid a pretty penny for it several years ago, and it's just been hanging out raw on my PC, and so it's about time this one gets CGC'd. The next up here is a Nightmare number 10. This one is a pre-code horror book. It is a Joe Kubert cover, and I was just really excited to pick this one up. It had a nice fun little date stamp. I believe this is an old masking tape coverage. I think somebody had some tape over there, but we'll see what CGC says about that. Overall, I'm hoping that this one comes in a solid mid-grade. You can see it does have some spine splitting and a staple detached. So, you know, obviously it's one to get slab to protect it. The copy of Hulk number 141 here was one that I bought in very good condition, or very good plus condition, from my comic shop. I'm really going to try to give this one a little bit of TLC and a facelift, so I did a whole bunch of work on that one, and I'm hoping it comes in significantly higher grade. The Amazing Spider-Man number 20 here looks super sharp, and the downside is that there is a lot of creasing on the back cover for this one, so it's going to probably come in that 4.0 range due to all the back cover damage. This one is another one here where I bought it raw with a lot of problems. So this one came in, let me see here. Nope, this is the other one. We have a Fantastic Four 72 bought good. This thing had a lot of moisture damage, and so it definitely needed a thorough dry clean, some bled treatment, a lot of ironing, and then a press to finish it out. I'm hoping this one will come in close to a 6.5, so there is a big crease here, but I'm hoping that this one will showcase, if you know what you're looking for and are willing to put in a lot of time and effort into a book, what a bump ski can get. I would gladly go from a 2.5 up to a 6.0 copy, so that would be a really nice bump for me, and I think that's hopefully where this one's headed to. It looks super sharp except for that crease after I fixed it up. This one is an incredibly low copy here of Amazing Spider-Man number 41. We're just sending this one to CGC to protect it. You can see that there's just a tremendous amount of damage, spine splitting, curling. That thing needs some help. Action Comics number 93 is from my Christmas collection. It's got a chunk out here. It's got one blown staple. The second staple is still attached. This one's fully blown down there. I picked this one up raw at Heroes Con for the Christmas collection, and I'm just looking to get it slabbed. The same is true here with this copy of Batman 33. This one is heavily tanned, has, you know, spine splitting. You can't really see it because the pages underneath are cream, but there's a bunch of chips and chunks out of it as well, and so we need to get that one preserved to keep it there. This is one I'm definitely hoping to upgrade, so when it comes to Golden Age Batman, this one is not particularly expensive, and so it's one I'd like to get a nicer mid-grade copy of with much brighter page quality. Batman number 5 here. This one is sadly incomplete. It is a 0.5 copy with two inner pages with significant chunks out of them. It also has an immense amount of tape damage on the spine here, so that one is going to be a 0.5 copy. This one here is America's Best. So this is a Schomburg cover, beauty pageant cover. You can see the Schomburg signature there. You know, it does have structural damage. The page quality is not the best. It's just another one here we're going to send for prosperity's sake to get slabbed, but it does have pretty good eye appeal for what will hopefully be a upper low grade copy. Same is going to be true here with the Black Cat Mystery number 53. This poor woman running away from that bug, and all the bug wants to do is stick its tongue out at her, and unfortunately this guy really just wants to shoot the bug. So it's, you know, anyway, kind of a fun pre-code horror book. You know, again, just an immense amount of spine damage, and so again, for this one, we're just looking for a blue grade copy, just a universal label. Amazing Spider-Man number 16 here. First Daredevil crossover into the Spider-Verse. It does have just a lot of creasing on the cover, and you know, it is still intact. The staples are still attached, but it's going to be another one where we're looking for that upper low grade copy. Detective Comics number 102, Joker gets away with the dollhouse, blown staple there. I think I feel some glue on this, so this one might be getting a purple label. It could just be really intense foxing, but I think I was feeling a little bit of glue, which would technically restore it. You might ask if this foxing is worth repairing. I think with the extent of that foxing and with it being right along the spine, we're just going to leave that one as it sits and hope that it comes back again with the universal label. Amazing Spider-Man number 12, very early Amazing Spider-Man. Again, we're going to look for a upper low-grade copy here. You can see some spine splitting and some damage. Yep. So not a whole lot more to say there. Batman number 73, Joker Utility Belt. This one has very good eye appeal. It does, however, though, have a fully detached cover with some blown staples. And so it's another one of these that looks really attractive from arm's length. The yellow pops right out at you, but the technical grade on it is going to be low. The Crime Suspense Stories number 23 here is one that I featured in the Comics of All Ages video, so check that one out. There is a chunk missing out of the inner page and a big coupon cut from the back cover, but again, from arm's length, it looks really good, especially for these black covers. This one was purchased by Heritage, and so if it comes back with any shenanigans, I'll be quite pouty at them, but it was purchased as a universal low-grade copy from Heritage Auction House. This is the last one here that we got from my comic shop. This one was graded a 3.0 copy, and I could not believe that. Just the amount of dirt and grime and filth. Again, it was noted with some moisture damage, but when you open it up, it just looks incredibly bright. You could tell from the scans it was bright. The depth of the color is very bright. And so we're going to hopefully get an insane bump ski on that one after a whole bunch of Tap Comics pressing TLC. Amazing Spider-Man 23. This one is a higher grade compared to most of my Amazing Spider-Man collection. I'm hoping for this one will come in, in that 6.65 category. It looks pretty sharp. I don't see any major creasing on it. It's got a little bit of surface wear. It's got some reader creasing, but it should be good there. That one contrasts with this one. This one I didn't even press because I didn't want to risk the spine. It's got one blown staple and essentially blown staple there, and you can see it's just got all kinds of spine damage. So this one's going to get slabbed for prosperity. And the last one here is going to follow the same. As somebody who's a chemist, I just really love this cover here in the Black Cat Mystery. I'm hoping to eventually pick up a higher grade white page copy of this one, but it's hard to track down. This dude just looks so sinister doing his chemistry with the little shrunken head in the vat. And I just really love the coloring on this one. The inking is amazing with the oranges and purples and yellows and reds. It just looks really good, and greens. It's just kind of a rainbow cover. Again, this one's got an immense amount of spine damage, so we're just going to slab that. So there's a lot of low-grade goodness here, and again, the overall goal here for Top Comics Pressing in 2024 is to downsize the PC by slabbing a lot of these raw books and think critically about which ones I want to keep in the collection and then move some of them along in the hopes of either upgrading to nicer copies. So books like Batman 33 I want to upgrade. Other ones like Batman number 5 here I might be okay getting rid of and downsizing if that helps me pick up on another kind of Grail level comic book. And so that's kind of what the goal is on these ones. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Keep your fingers crossed that CGC is very gentle with the books that are fragile. So ones like this one, I have notes on the back of caution, top detached, bottom near almost detached, or bottom detached, top almost detached. So you got to be very careful. I like to leave them notes to that regard, but we'll see how these shake. So keep your fingers crossed for me. All right, howdy folks. The big day is here. I've got a hefty box fresh from CGC. And this thing hopefully will contain 20 vintage comic books. I've forgotten most of what I sent in this order because it turns out the vintage tier is coming back significantly slower than the modern tier. So these were shipped to CGC in early February. They were checked in, I want to say February 21st. And at the time of this recording, it's April 12th. And so we've taken about 2 solid months round trip. Compared to peak COVID surge, that's actually a pretty fast turnaround. Compared to historical, it's not quite the quickest. But anyway, let's just get ripping into this one. And see how we did. Now, some of these we knew were going to be incredibly low grade, and we were just able to get them basically protected and sealed on up. Some of them were ones I had purchased, you know, with the idea of picking up and pressing. So here we go with this. Let me just get this out of the way. I'll put that on over there. And we'll just start ripping here right at the front end in no particular order. This must be the back end of this. We have Black Cat Mysteries number 53. So this is a pre-code horror with a decapitation panel is what's hit there. This one is labeled cream to off-white pages, and I do think that that 2.5 grade on this one is pretty accurate. There is an immense amount of reader creasing, there's light spine splits, there's tearing and chipping all the way, and if you look at the back here, you can see that there is quite an extensive amount of staining, particularly on that edge and up along here. If this book were in better condition, it would probably be one that we might be able to pretty on up, but these Golden Age books, particularly if you see stuff like this, which I would consider light cockling in there, so that's evidence of moisture damage, and that means that the book and the paper are going to be much harder to deal with, and so this one I think is best kept as is. I like the cover. My wife finds it hysterical that almost all the damsels in distress in the Golden Age are blondes wearing red dresses, so eventually at a Comic-Con she says she's gonna cosplay as a damsel in distress just by wearing a red dress and putting her hair up. So we'll see if she ever follows through on that, but at least at the moment it's an entertaining notion, and I can't really tell if this bug wants to eat her or just taunt her by sticking its tongue out, and so it's one of the, I think more, you know, just a little bit different pre-code horror covers. So that one is a kind of just an entertaining one. Let's see what else we got here. We have an Amazing Spider-Man. This will be Amazing Spider-Man number 16, featuring what I think is the first crossover from Daredevil into any other title. And, you know, any of these very early Spider-Mans are always prized. These are ones I'm probably going to downsize. This one, you know, if you look at it, you can see on the back edge it has kind of a weird open edge. That is Silver Age manufacturing, so it's not a spine roll, because if you look, you can see all the way that split or roll goes all the way to the center fold, and it was just miscut and then folded, and it didn't quite line up. The staples are nice and on the side. Again, a very, you know, reasonable low-grade copy. I'm kind of surprised this one is labeled cream to off-white. To me, I think it's one that I vaguely recall being more off-white, but, you know, that's how it goes. Next on up here, ooh, this one's nice. Ooh, this one turned out way better than I thought. All right, so this one is a Detective Comics number 102, 1945. And for those of you that don't know, typically the Detective Comics are slightly more rare than Batmans of the same era, and just the census count is lower. I think a lot of people saw the title Batman and may have saved it from getting chucked out. Those that, you know, Detective Comics doesn't quite have the same connotation, and so typically if you look at the census count, they're significantly higher for a Batman titled book than a Detective Comic book from the same year. This one is a Joker cover here where he's running away with a dollhouse. I got this one actually thinking that there was glue on the spine, and I was kind of expecting this one to come back restored. I'm actually very surprised by the grade. To me, that this spine has significant deterioration through there. You know, there's a little bit of light tearing if we look on the back over here. And so this one I think is a much higher grade than I was expecting. There's a big long crease right across here as well. And there's another big long crease right there. So significant amount of cover creasing. Nevertheless, you know, very nice Golden Age Joker cover. And so who doesn't love that? The Joker covers are always some of the most popular of the Batman themed books. Going on up here is another one. This one I knew was going to be low grade, the Joker utility belt, and you know, I can't remember why I knew this one was going to be low grade, but I'm not surprised by that. This one says it is off-white pages. Oh, it's because the cover is totally detached. Of course, that's why. So detached cover. First Joker utility belt, you know, it's just kind of a goofy story, another Joker one. But, you know, for a 2.0 copy, particularly from arm's length, I think it looks quite nice. You know, it has, again, it's fully detached cover and a lot of reader creasing along the spine, a lot of damage there. But it's quite bright in person, and it doesn't show a lot of tanning. And to me, you know, it's just another really fun Joker cover. So that one is probably going to sit in the PC, particularly because it's lower grade, but looks really nice. And those are the kind of books that I sort of pick up. What's coming on up here? This is another Amazing Spider-Man number 12, featuring Dr. Otto Octavius here on the cover. This is the third Dr. Octopus appearance, and you know, one of the goofier ones there where he's pulling off Peter Parker's mask right in front of J. Jonah. I mean, can you believe J. Jonah missed him? I mean, it's right there. Anyway, all right, so this one probably fairly does have cream to off-white pages, particularly if you look at the open edge here. You can see a significant amount of staining, but again, a very early Spider-Man comic to be picking up in reasonable grade. You know, 4.0 for books of this era are pretty common, and you know, I think that that's definitely not in the trash category. It's definitely not in the super high grade category, but you know, it's kind of a standard right in the pack kind of grade for that one. This one scored higher than I thought, so this is a Crime Suspense Stories number 23. For those of you that are longtime subscribers of the channel, you'll remember I actually featured this one in the Comics of All Ages video, so that was one of the very first videos I did. If I remember, I'll put that down in the description below. If I do not remember, you know, go to search out in the channel content and just look for it. This one is labeled cream to off-white pages. I think that that is very harsh. You can see on the back here, there's a large chunk out, and you can actually see all the way through to the interior pages. And this is brighter than some of the white paged copy Hulk 181s I've featured on the channel. Sometimes I think the CGC graders get lazy and they just hold their finger down on whatever page quality they had last. This one, being cream to off-white, just doesn't seem accurate to me. The 2.5 grade is accurate because of the big chunk out on the back here. The page quality seems off. All right, next on up here in no particular order, Black Cat. Oh, this is the second Black Cat. This one I has because I am a chemist, and this is a chemistry shrunken head cover. That's pretty awesome, having a little bit of a shrunken head there in the Erlenmeyer flask. I knew this one was very low grade. I purchased it very low grade. I'm not surprised at all by either the page quality being cream to off-white, or you know, some of the damage that had gone through there. So it has significant spine splitting. The cover is probably on the edge of being brittle. You can see that there's a whole bunch of creasing and tearing up along there, and it is definitely true tanning, especially down in this area. And so this one is probably correctly graded both in terms of its page quality, but also overall grade. Nevertheless, pretty fun and epic pre-code horror comic. This is one I keep hoping to stumble across finding a copy to upgrade, but it's a pretty hard one to locate, particularly in a condition that makes sense to upgrade it. I think I see a chip down there. Nope, that's just the plastic from the inner well holding it in place. All right, next on up here is, jumping into the early 1970s. This is a copy of The Incredible Hulk number 141, featuring the first appearance of Doc Samson. It's a character I don't think that's appeared yet in the MCU, so I might sit on this one for a little bit. I picked this one up graded much lower than that 8.0, and I thought it was quite bumpable, so this one got some of our blue LED treatment. It had some water damage, and so I took a trick from James at Key Issue Collectibles to be able to buff and polish some of that gloss back, and I think that helped cover up what the prior grader had recognized as staining. It was not CGC graded, it was raw, but I want to say it was closer to a 5.0 copy with some water damage and heavy foxing, and we were able to treat all of that and get it up to a nice 8.0 copy. It's very crisp in person, very bright colors. Again, I have a hard time getting rid of or letting that one go, but I might have to do so we'll see. All right, we're going to pick out of the front of the box here, Amazing Spider-Man number 20. This is one I picked up from Nostalgia Zone, so I've featured Nostalgia Zone comics quite a few times. This is graded Good v Good by Chris, and so a Good v Good would be a 3.0, and so again, I think Chris does tend to grade on the harsh side, which is a nice thing, and so I enjoy buying from them. And again, the sticker shock at Nostalgia Zone is real, but remember, you get 10% off of the list price, and then you get 10% of that back in points and that you can spend, and so, you know, really you kind of have to think about it as being 20% less than what you're actually looking at. A lot of creasing over here and a significant amount of creasing back there ultimately held this out, but I will point out this thing is white I'm not surprised at all that this got white pages, and this might actually be a good chunk of the reason why some of the other comics are coming back with cream to off-white pages. Not because they necessarily should be cream to off-white pages, but because this thing is true bone white. And I did not whiten this. I didn't even mess with it. It was just immaculate. And that's one of the really awesome things if you can find good comics from Minnesota or temperate climates, places that have cool winters where people might have stored things, not in a hot attic, not in a shed, but in a basement that didn't have mold or high moisture content. You can get some of those really true bright pages. All right, one more here. This one is a copy of Fantastic Four number 72, pretty epic early Silver Surfer cover. It's not one of the original trilogy, but it is one of the very early appearances of the Silver Surfer. I bought this one graded about a 6.0. It does have a pretty massive corner crease. Let me see if I can get that in the camera right there, but there's a pretty good crease. Right there, you can see it. So that was the single grade limiting defect, so I was expecting that. I think this one is spot on. I do remember this one having a decent amount of cover tanning. So, I mean, if you want to call it off-white or cream to off-white, I guess, whatever. But, I think that one was pretty much spot on what I was expecting. Next one on up here, yeah, this one is genuinely a cream to off-white pages, and I knew this one was going to be a low grade. So this is one I had featured in my comics to help celebrate Christmas. And you can see right across the open edge here that there's a significant amount of tanning on this edge. There's also a significant amount of just chipping and damage. You can see it right in there and right up through here, and a chunk missing out of there. And so this one I knew was going to be low grade. There's a pretty big piece missing out of the top back corner. But this was definitely a starter copy when I was trying to fill out my Christmas Batman comics, and so I bought it low grade and raw. Now I have a copy here, and it's one that hopefully I'll be able to find a nicer copy of to upgrade. I'm a sucker for the Christmas covers. I've got a whole collection of them, so I featured that in a different video. I'll drop that link down below, but it's one hopefully I'll be able to snag an upgrade for. And I'm not surprised at all by the low grade on that one or by the cream to off-white pages. All right, we got a Action Comics number 93. This one is another one of the Christmas covers, so I featured this one in the same video. This one I'm surprised by the cream to off-white pages. Personally, I would have pegged them at off-white white. If you look on the open edge back here, they don't look particularly creamy to me. Those look kind of like normal pages. You can also see a little bit on the open edge there. That's not usually what I think of when I see CGC cream pages. So again, I think the grader on this one was just being pouty on that page quality. The 3.0 grade seems like it makes sense. There's a pretty good crease down here with a tear. There's some light spine splitting, a chip, a tear, the piece out over here, and a little bit of damage. There's a little bit of a piece missing and some tearing on the back. So all in all, I think the 3.0 makes sense. I think the page quality was quite harsh. I've pointed out on the channel before many a times that I don't really trust CGC's page quality. If you don't believe me on that, you can go find my Instagram page. I had a Canadian price, a 35-cent variant of Star Wars #2, first Obi-Wan, first full Han Solo, first full Chewbacca, yada yada. Pretty rare book in that 35-cent variant. It came to me graded with light tanned off-white pages. I resubmitted it for a client, and it came back with white pages. Didn't do any whitening, didn't do any shenanigans. That was all just CGC page quality error. So it's hard to trust those page quality ratings. This one is coming to me, first appearance of the Rhino, Amazing Spider-Man number 41. This is another one of these early Spider-Mans I might try to upgrade. This one is for sure going to be low grade. I bought it very low grade, heavy creasing, piece out, spine splits, definitely low grade. Not super surprised by the cream to off-white page quality. More importantly, this was just one to fill out the collection. The Rhino is not one of my personal favorite Spider-Man villains, so I'm not totally convinced I will actually replace or upgrade this one. Nevertheless, though, it's just an epic John Romita cover, and one that is, quite popular with people that love the Rhino, particularly if you like the Hulk battling the Rhino or the Juggernaut battling the Rhino or some of the other big, beefy Marvel characters duking it out. All right, this one came out exactly how we'd expect. Batman number 5. Of course, an epic first appearance of the Batmobile. Do they even have that on here? Joker appearance, first appearance of Linda Page. Bat emblem left of Batman's chest. All right, or left off of Batman's chest. Yeah, so you can see right there on the cover. There's no Batman emblem. Unfortunately, I do not believe they actually note this as the first appearance of the Batmobile. I love this cover in addition to it being the first appearance of the Batmobile, which I believe the Joker makes Batman drive off a cliff. He trashed it even in the Batmobile's first appearance. But the other reason I love this is the scales of justice being tipped here by the crooks is kind of a reoccurring theme in a lot of comic books. And so there's a Daredevil cover that kind of has this similar vibe, and a couple of other ones where, you know, you have a character weighing villains on the scales of justice. And so I think this is one of the first ones that I know of. There might be one in a non-DC, non-superhero book, but, you know, it's one that's there. I knew this one was going to be a 0.5 because I knew it was missing page content. So there you go. What's up next here? America's Best Comics. This is one I picked up off of Instagram. This one I think should actually, if I had to label this one, I would say this should have tan pages. If we look down here, it is quite dark on the interior. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a pretty heavy dust shadow, and the interior page quality is quite poor. Yeah, you can kind of see it over here. So again, for our cream page covers, if I remember right, this edge is even worse than this open piece. Nevertheless, they gave this one the 3.5 off-white pages. Alex Schomburg cover. Again, it's another Golden Age. I believe this is the Mask is the character's name, and she is now winning the America's Best pageant for the America's Best Comics. This one's actually my wife's personal collection, so we're going to stash that one on over there. This one's another one I picked up at Nostalgia Zone. I don't know what they had it graded, and I wasn't sure if the CGC, you know, I'll have to look at the number there and see what they called this. I thought it was masking tape or some other issue going across the top, but, you know, it's kind of a fun Joe Kubert cover, and yeah, just a pre-code horror I picked up. It's not one of the most valuable, it's not one of the craziest that are out there, but it was just one that kind of appeared on the Nostalgia Zone feed, and so I was able to snag that for a reasonable price. And again, it was just kind of a cool pre-code horror, so we picked that one on up and decided to get it slabbed. What's coming on up here? We got Batman number 55. This one I'm actually a little disappointed in, to be perfectly honest. I think I bought this at Fine Plus or maybe BGF, so that would be like a 7. This was bought before I was a super precise grader. I think when I took it on out, I looked at it and thought it might be a stretch, but I was kind of hoping it would hit there. You know, obviously the CGC graders I think hit the defects a little hard. There's a very small crease over here. There's a very small, maybe half-inch tear right here on the open edge. There's a very small puncture mark right up there on the spine. I don't know, that there's another little bit of a corner crease over here, but nothing too insane. This one I might crack and resubmit. One, maybe just to make myself feel better about it, because again, I think this is one I overpaid for. At the time, this was the most expensive raw comic book I had ever purchased. I don't remember exactly what I paid for it, but it was a hefty sum. And maybe actually, now that I'm looking at it, I wonder if something happened up over there that I don't remember. It looks like that paper's folded up. I would not have sent it with that. We'll have to reevaluate. But anyway, yeah, and it actually looks like it's a little crooked in the slab. Well, it is what it is. So you live, you learn. And I think that's an important lesson for people who are new to the hobby. You know, you buy some books, you roll some dice, they don't always come out. And that's one that, you know, I think I probably overextended on. But whatever, super awesome. I will point out one really fun thing about this, and that is this predates Alaska and Hawaii being states. So you'll notice it is the case of the 48 Jokers, where there's a Joker in every state. And of course now there are 50 states, but this predates the last 2 becoming states. All right, Amazing Spider-Man number 7, second Vulture. coming in at a 3.5. I'll take that. I mean, I think that that's actually a little generous. It's got a bunch of creasing through here. It's got a pretty good amount of spine splitting. Somehow the cover was still attached. I do think the cream pages are probably warranted. So if you look there, you can see that there's a significant amount of edge tanning. So this thing definitely, and that's true on the front too. So this thing was probably stacked with a bunch of other comics and that side of it got exposed. Again, single digit Amazing Spider-Man. Blue label. I knew it was not going to be high grade. I definitely did not pay high grade prices for it. I'll take that 3.5 any day of the week. Nothing wrong with that. Looks like we got one more Amazing Spider-Man here. Oh, this one came out a little bit nicer than I would have thought. Amazing Spider-Man number 23 coming in at a much higher 6.5 than I would have expected. This is going to be the third appearance of the Green Goblin. This is still going to be in the Ditko era, which is pretty awesome. And this one is popular because a young Jim Shooter wrote a letter that's featured in the back. And for those of you that don't know, Jim became one of the really long time editors at Marvel and is notorious for, really kind of dictating the 80s. So Secret Wars were one of his major arcs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so this one I think I'm pretty happy with. So 6.5 in this book I think is pretty respectable. Really anything that crosses that 5.5 to 6.0 threshold is gonna really start to bring you up for those early Silver Age books. So this one's from 1965. All in all, it looks pretty good. Again, I think I'm a little surprised by the cream to off-white pages. I mean, obviously there's some aging over here, but typically in my experience, CGC would have just called those off-white and not hit it with the cream. But I think the grader here was just being a little pouty with life. All right, and this one I am very surprised by. This one I bought very low grade, and I managed to clean out a lot of foxing, a lot of dirt, and press it up. Honestly, I should have made this one into a video. I know. I did not see that coming. I was expecting like 7.5. So a 9.0 here kind of blows my mind. That's pretty cool. Definitely has a nice spine tick there. It's got a little bit of late staple tears on both staples, a little bit of edge wear. Did not see that coming. So let's hope Agatha pops off. But all in all, a pretty fun unboxing here. So, you win some, you lose some. I'm going to call these two massive wins. I did not keep them in there to the last unintentionally. Some ones like this one, I'm honestly a little disappointed in, but I'm probably more disappointed with myself for overextending and maybe not really appreciating how to grade books when I bought this one. Definitely more disappointed with myself than with CGC. That's kind of how it rolls though. So, important lesson, get to know the ropes before you jump for the big books. You might regret it later. A couple of clear wins. I don't know. Just a fun bunch of books here. Remember these, like I said, are going to go to consignment as we try to upgrade and continue to improve my personal collection. So hopefully you enjoyed both me watching what I was going to send off as well as how they came back. And you can go back and rewind and see how close I did. And usually I'm way off. So people ask me what their comic books are going to grade and I say, I don't know, probably 5.0 plus or minus 5 is a safe range. So with that, hopefully leave a thumbs up on the video, click that subscribe button right down below, keep on collecting what you enjoy, share the channel with your friend, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook.